such a bad man, worship such a good God? Why does the evil within me rage its war against my soul? Whoa, why do I fight against me? Whoa, why do I fight against me?
I am so insecure, I promise it's become a war, just to keep a level head when death is knocking at my door. I heard it first stepping with weapons at age 11. Poverty had us stressing, pops fell in depression. I had to keep my father encouraged to keep pressing. But if you sinning and winning, then don't call it a blessing. But Biggie told me ski mask on, gun on my waist, break into their house, snatch all the money about the safe. Evil thoughts, like find me a woman that you can hug, manipulate her emotions by keeping her on drugs. Never duplicate all our feelings, remain thug. Then make sure you unplug before you ever fall in love. So why would God comfort me? Comfort me? Why would he ever send his son for me? His son for me? Why would the Lord take a stand? Take a stand. Such a good God can love this evil man.
Hi, my name is Sharon, and I'm just going to give you a short background about myself. I grew up in Hertfordshire with my two siblings and my mum and dad, and I had a very happy childhood until the age of 7. And that's when my whole world just turned upside down. Okay, so from 7 years old to my teenage years was my most traumatic years. At 7 years old, I was sexually abused. This went on for most of my junior years, and the person that abused me was a family member, and it was someone who was very dear and very close to my heart, and that person happened to be my older brother. This went on for quite a while. I never told my parents about it, because an abuser will always say to you that, you know, if you let anyone know what's happened, they'll basically come after you, they'll hurt you, and that was the threats I was getting from my brother. So I just embraced what was happening to me. One day I had enough, and I actually, because my brother would abuse me when my parents were always out of the house. He was very clever at the times he chose and how he did it. And one day my parents were actually in the house and he tried to abuse me. And I actually restrained him trying to abuse me, and he actually threw me downstairs. And my parents heard the commotion. My dad came out from downstairs in the living room, came and saw me going downstairs, asked what was going on. 7 years old, how do you explain to your parents you're being sexually abused? So all I could do was show my dad the actions. The next thing I remember was my dad was trying to strangle the life out of my brother on the stairs. My mum had to intervene. And then what happened was my brother obviously had to leave the house, and he left for a very long time. As years passed and I was getting into my teenage years, my brother ended up coming back to the family home. And because of this, my coping mechanism was then to turn to drugs. I had my first spliff at 16 years old. I didn't like it, but I wasn't going to let that have any control over me, because I've been controlled for so many years, and I refused to let a drug control me. I was going to have control. I was going to be in power. And I smoked that spliff, and that was my downward spiral from there. From the drugs, from the weed, I went on to cocaine, I went on to crack cocaine, I went on to ease, I was raving, I was drinking, just drunk all the time. I turned to robbery. 18 years old, I was arrested for robbery, robbing clothes and shoes out of the shops. Even my friend's mum had her own shop. I got caught robbing in the shop with my friend whose mum owned the shop. It was very disgraceful and disgusting, my behaviour, but it was my coping mechanism. I ended up in cells at 18. I was scared, it was a shock. That was enough to deter me from wanting to rob or steal again. But the drugs and the partying just kept spiralling out of control, and then I started being promiscuous with men. I think I was just looking for love, the right kind of love. It was awful. I was an awful person. And I got to a point in my life where I didn't want to be like this no more. I didn't want to be a victim anymore. And I started going to drug and alcohol counselling. I started having counselling for the abuse. And I was gradually coming off the drugs, slowing down on the drugs, and sort of accepting what had happened to me. And then my brother was hanging around the house more with my mum. My mum was in denial of what happened to me. And I got to a point where I wanted to kill my brother. And I used to sit there plotting up ways how I could kill him. And it got so bad, I ended up in therapy for over nearly 3 years. And I was having therapy like 3 days a week because the anger and the rage in me, wanting to kill him. Again, it started to help me, and then at a point where I was starting to feel better in myself, and became myself, I lost my dad, and that just tore me apart again. So I lost my dad, and my dad was everything to me. He was my best friend. He was my everything. He helped me to cope with what I was going through with the abuse. He was playing the part of my mother and my father because my mum couldn't cope with what was happening. So when he died, I died too, and I missed him so much. I didn't want to live anymore. I did not want to live anymore. So I just kept thinking, I want to be with my dad. I don't want to be here anymore. I had family trying to help me, console me. My mum tried, but I just turned aggressive towards people. I just rebelled. I just didn't want to know. I just got heavier in the drugs. It was at my cousin's 50th party, and it was like Christmas, around Christmas Day, and I stayed at her house for a few days on Christmas Eve. I made that decision that I was going to kill myself, and I was going to get on a train. I don't know where I was going, but I was going to take some pills, and I was just going to get off somewhere, and I was going to take the pills, and I was going to go to sleep, and I was going to join my dad. But a phone call from one of my cousins just changed everything. It changed my life. And I can say now, even though I was a believer, I've always been a believer with God, I truly believe God interceded this day. So what happened was, as I was about to leave my cousin's house, my cousin called. She said she sensed something wasn't right. And she spoke to me on the phone, and I had a conversation with her, and I just broke down. She said to me, I want you to just get on the train and come down to where I'm living. And I got on the train and I came down and I went to her house. The whole time I was on the train, I was just crying and thinking that I don't want to live anymore. But I still went to my cousin's, and that day was New Year's Eve. And she said to me, I'm taking you into church. And she took me to church. And I remember sitting down, and I just remember the bishop calling me to the front. And no one in my family knew that day what I was going to do, nobody, but the bishop just prophesied what I was going to do. And that was the moment I just fell to the floor in pieces. And I just gave my life there and then. And all I can say is that it's the best thing I ever did. Because from that moment, that was when I started to heal, truly heal. For 3 months after, I was still wrestling with the weed, but everything else had more or less fallen off me, and I was still drinking a little bit, but I felt that conviction in my spirit that I didn't need the drink or the drugs anymore, and I just completely stopped. I just gave everything up, and I just focused on God, and I healed. Since giving my life to Christ, I am a completely different person. I've bettered myself as a person. I started studying, I started being consistent in work, more loving with my family, but the best thing of all, because I was abused by my brother, and because of being black, I couldn't be around black men. I couldn't let any black man touch me. Anyone come near me, black, I would freak. I would want to attack them. It was heavy. But because of the love of God and where He's brought me to, I could actually hold my brother and tell him how much I love him to this very day. I love the person who abused me, my brother, and I could embrace him with love. Hi, my name is Sharon, and this is the reason I am who I am. I was a victim, but I am now a victor.
Yo, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Triumph Stories. But just before you go, a quick word from our partners. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Hannah. Start again. Hi, my name's Hannah and I'm part of the Triumph crew. And I hope you just enjoyed our Triumph stories. So what's Triumph? Triumph stands for The Reason I Am Who I Am. And it's a live event that happens every first Friday of every other month. And we can't wait to see you at the next one. So at an event, you can expect worship, fellowship, laughter, some tears, and of course an amazing speaker coming to share their story. But I've told you enough about it now. Come take a look.
And God brought me here to tell you guys today that our identity lies in the Word, not in the things we do in the world. Above all, we are a child of God. And I remember keeping my story to myself for so long, and God really gave me the revelation that the enemy loves keeping us silent. The enemy loves making you think like you're the only one that's going through whatever you've going through or have gone through. He loves to keep you bound. And when your mouth is shut, his mouth is wide open.
So, if you'd like to know more about Triumph, would like to come to one of our events, or even share your testimony at one of our events, then hit us up on our socials. Thank you, and God bless.
Now, as always, make sure you like, please share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more of our amazing content. And be sure to follow us on our social media platforms if you haven't already. But more importantly, it's important that I let you know before you go that our channel and everything we do in it is all about sharing and reinforcing the gospel of Jesus Christ. My heart's desire is that if you're not in a relationship with Christ, you would follow this link that comes up on the video and you would learn more about the gospel. And maybe this might be the day that you start your relationship with Jesus. I hope it is. Other than that, just remember, it's a plant thing.